Here's a great question from Tabitha Smith. Sam, I just got your blow dryer and it's the first time in my 22-year career that I've fallen in love. Thanks, Tabitha. I love you too. Can you teach me, oh, you love the blow dryer, not me. Sorry about that. Glad you like the blow dryer. Can you teach me some tips that my clients can relate to so they will be interested in buying one also? Okay, I'll give you some hot tips. First of all, I hear a lot of clients complain about the weight of a dryer. Here, you have a very lightweight dryer. Number two, the longer the nozzle, the whole compact it is, the more longer it is, I find it the more difficult it is for a client to work with. Because imagine this, they have to extend their arm a little farther away from the head because of the length of the dryer. Look at the length of this dryer. It's a lot easier for a client to work with. Secondly, I want you to tell your clients they have a natural common tendency to take the nozzle, the whole nozzle off and work with just the airflow. I want you to tell them this is what creates flyaways and makes the hair frizzy. They have to control the flow of air, teach them to use a nozzle. They're going to get a much more controlled finish. Secondly is this, it's not only the blow dryer, but I think it's also brushes, teaching a client how to work with the brushes. Number one, when a client blow dries their hair, you at home teach them to stand up. I think as stylists behind a chair, we try to teach them something and they're sitting down. Their body becomes a lot more compact. It makes it a little bit more difficult. So when you're gonna teach a client to blow dry their hair, you're gonna encourage them to stand up and explain to them they're gonna have a lot more flexibility with the body and maneuvering the tools if they stand. Have your client stand up, have her go behind the chair, hand her the blow dryer. Teach her what you're doing first, sitting down. Okay? For example, have you ever seen a client, just hand them the blow dryer. Here's what they do. And I would hand them a blow dryer and a brush and I'd say, okay, show me what you do. And they'd be in here like this and they'd take the hair and they'd go like this and then they turn their blow dryer on and they're blow drying. First of all, don't blow dry the air, blow dry your hair. How do you teach them that? Simple. What you do is have them turn on the blow dryer, feel the heat on their hand, and then follow it to the brush. And I always teach a client this. Take your blow dryer, put it down, put your round brush in if you're working with a round brush, place that in, situate your brush, now come in with your blow dryer, have them turn it on, go to their hand, and now go to the brush. Now can you see I've got the flow of air exactly where I want it. That's one hot tip that's gonna help you to get the lift and the volume that they might want. How am I looking? Okay, let's go through another one now. Next one is this, is I really think that clients have a difficult time working with round brushes. And it's also about the speed. We have to teach them to slow things down. Watch what I'm gonna do. Look at the frizziness this has here. Watch the control I'm gonna get. If I can go in as a hairdresser, place my brush in, and then come through with my thumb underneath, take the blow dryer, come on top, and now just allow it, the heat and the motion to work for you. Look how slow I'm going and how I'm just sliding down that hair shaft. Now watch how I'm gonna get stretch and I'm gonna get shine and polish and I'm gonna maintain the stretch. I think one thing that we do and what clients do is they don't allow it to cool. Now watch this particular section. Watch how I just did that once and then look at the control that I've been able to get out of that. I think what happens a lot of times is as stylists or even clients, we work so hard like this. Here we are, like a punching bag. We punch at it like this. What's happening is when we do this, we go in. Now can you see I've lost my tension? Replace my dryer, lose my tension. Here, this would be easy for a client. All she has to do is stand up. She comes in with her hand, places her brush in around the section. So she does this. Excuse me, Erica, you need to hold your head still and give me some tension, please. Okay, so I place my brush in, have her place it in like this. Then have her turn her dryer on, and now doing the same thing that you do in the salon. Dryer comes in. Can you see I'm going with the scales of the cuticle? That way I'm going to impart a lot more shine. Have them just follow this down and stretch as they go down. As they go down. Very slow. Turn the dryer off. Have her put it down and have her relax here and just spin and rotate the dryer out, and she's going to get a lot more smooth finish. How do they create volume? Very, very simple. I think the mistake is when we go to teach a client to create volume, first thing I want to do is teach you something. How short do you cut the top of a crown when a client wants volume? Simple. All we have to do is ask them this. What size of a round brush do you use to create the volume? Or do you use a round brush to create the volume? If they said, I use a small round brush, Sam, then grab your small round brush, lift the crown area that you're about to cut, go in, take your round brush, put it in just like this. Okay, now measure that, and that's how short I would be cutting her top. Why? So she's able to go home and get her favorite round brush around the section. We don't know how many times we've cut this top, or at least I have. I've cut it too short, and I have clients come back and said, Sam, you cut the top too short. I go, what do you mean? Well, I couldn't get my round brush around it. And then I'd ask them, what size round brush are you using? And they'd go, I'm using a jumbo. And then I've cut it this short. Can you imagine? They're frustrated. That's how we don't get clients to come back in the salon. So a simple little tip I gave you in terms of determining how short to cut a crown if they're working with a round brush. Hope you enjoy that. Now check this out. Let's talk about how do you create volume. Really simple. First of all, I like to have clients create a zigzag section when they go and create volume. That way, what's happening is the volume doesn't have these splits inside of it. So have them take a zigzag section first, okay? If they want the volume to go back, blow dryers out of their hand. Have them go through and use the palm of their hand, rotate, and then roll the brush in. Now here's where the mistake happens. Most clients, once again, take the nozzle off. They're roughing up the cuticle. What we want to make sure is that we come in with the cuticle. Teach them to do that, working with the cuticle. A lot of times we come back in underneath this way and we're trying to set the volume in. Client, that's okay to do that, but as long as they're coming from behind with the nozzle pointed up, but directly underneath the brush in this manner. Okay? When they're coming through the top, I want you to make sure, once again, they're standing up, they get their brush in position first, they come in, they hit their hand, and they follow through. Now just tell them, just lift and rotate. Lift and rotate. Lift and rotate. Most importantly, tell them, allow it to cool. Sometimes they immediately release it and they're not getting the volume that they want. That's a great tip in regards to setting up the volume. Now let's talk about if someone has long hair and they want to go in and dry their long hair. I've seen so many clients do this. They ruffle up to get the moisture out. And that's because they feel that they can speed dry something a lot quicker that way. What I'm going to suggest that you do is you have them use a paddle brush and blow dry their hair in a controlled fashion. Once again, teach the client first sitting down. Have her watch your motions. This is a technique called wrap drying. I find this a lot easier for clients to blow dry when their hair is long. Rather than going in and doing this and then picking up a round brush, they're working twice as hard. Wrap drying, what do I mean? All they're simply doing is this, is wrapping their hair around the head in a horizontal motion. They're not taking it and doing this up across the top. When you do that, you're going to get too much bend or lift at the base on the sides. Where they might want to do that is maybe up on the top only, but not in the side area. Once they do that, what happens is, if you come in from underneath and they go this way across the top, they're going to get a lot of volume in this area. Now what happens is that sinks the volume here. I want you to tell clients something. It's so important that we understand opposites attract. What do I mean by that? Watch this. In most cases, the nape area sinks in. Look at this. If I sink this area in, would you agree? This looks rounder. A lot of times what we tend to do, and clients tend to do, is they bring the round brush underneath this area and start doing this. When we do that, you're building expansion here. The more expansion I have here, the less volume of a silhouette I'm going to get here. If I sink this in, can you see I'm getting more roundness, the illusion of more roundness? That's a great tip. Show them that. Hand them a hand mirror so they can really see that as you're working with this in the salon. This will help them to understand what areas they need to sink in. It's the nape area and the side areas. This will give them a true form of volume up in the top area. When they wrap dry, remember, they're going to wrap dry going horizontally, wrapping around the head. And the best way to do that is simply do this. Have them stand, take their head down, brush in one hand, and their dryer just follows around. Dryer just simply follows around. Now what they say is, Sam, I use one hand and I do this way. Just ask them to learn to switch. I can tell you this, when they're cooking, they're using both hands. If they can cook with both hands, they can blow dry with both hands. It's just a matter of practicing and taking the time to teach them how to do that. Next tip I'm going to give you is, if you haven't checked out a texture iron, you need to check out a texture iron to enhance the volume underneath. There's a technique that we have called texture. It's volume texture underneath. So it's about creating a hidden secret of volume underneath by simply applying the texture iron right underneath, compress. Then you're going through and you're bringing hair over that. So what happens is that enhances the volume in the crown area. I hope these little tips have helped you out in terms of not only helping you behind the chair, but enhancing your clients' blow dry and finish when they get home. Thanks for your question, and keep them coming.